Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. In my videos, I'm always trying to show you a concept, a technique, or something else that you can do to get better as a musician. In this video, I'm going to take a slightly different approach. I'm going to talk about 5 things you should stop doing if you want to become a better musician. Right before I get into those 5 things though, I want to give you a free gift. It's my masterclass called The Best Way to Create Melodic Solos. Creating lyrical and melodic solos is the goal of every improviser, and so many people are really clunky when they solo, or they're trying to play vertically, or they think chords and scales, and it gets very confusing and they're not really sure how to create authentic melodies over songs. And in this masterclass, completely free to you, I go over my 6-step voice leading process that teaches you how to solo through any set of chord changes. There are a bunch of PDF downloads that go with it as well. It's really great, and I know you're going to be transforming your playing in no time just from this masterclass. Go to the description down below at the top and you'll find the link to it, and I'll also put that link in the pinned comment below. Now let's get into the 5 things you should stop doing to become a better musician. This list isn't in any particular order, but this first one is probably the most prominent and probably the most important one that you should stop doing if you want to become a better musician, and that is stop comparing yourself to all the other musicians out there. Sure, comparisons are great, and it's great to have a benchmark to put yourself up against to see if you're improving or see if you want to sound like someone, but the constant comparison of yourself to someone else, especially maybe around your same age or around your same success level, or maybe they're a little ahead of you or beneath you in the success ladder, whatever you want to call it, that's just not going to be helpful for you in the long run. With social media now, it's so easy to get inside your own head and say, oh, look, this person has all these gigs. Why do they have those gigs? I want those gigs. They're not even that good. Listen to them here play Blue Bossa in their kitchen. You know what I mean? So as soon as you stop comparing yourself to everybody else out there and focus on your own path, you're gonna be so much happier and you're gonna be so much more successful. Every musician is on their own individual path. Some people's paths may take them really, really far, some might not, but understand that you are on your own path. What someone else is doing is irrelevant to what you are doing. So the sooner you can focus on you and not on everybody else, it's gonna be a great thing. The second thing you should really stop doing to become a better musician is stop thinking that you have to sound one way forever. I know this was a tricky one for me when I was first coming up, and I was coming out of high school into college, and I wanted to establish my sound. Who do I want to sound like? Do I want to sound like Dick Oates? But I really like Kenny Garrett. But what about that Cannonball record? You can change and evolve your sound over time. The best musicians have done that. They haven't only sounded one way forever. Look at Miles Davis. He changed his sound in the course of music many times. Look at someone like John Coltrane from the very beginning towards the end of his career, so on and so forth. There are so many examples of incredible musicians throughout history, specifically jazz musicians, that change the way they sound throughout their lives. Don't feel like if you play one way today, you're locked in forever. If that's the way you play in your current season of life, that's awesome. Go for it if that's what you want to sound like. And if it's not what you want to sound like, it's okay to keep searching for that sound, because it's not like whatever you do today is locked in forever. Also, even if you have recordings, you put videos out online, you do records, don't be so stressed out about how you sound now, because yes, you can even change in the future after the recordings. Just because someone hears a recording this year of you, if they hear a recording next year or in 5 years or 10 years, yes, you might sound different, and that's a great thing. You don't have to play the same way forever. The third thing that you should really stop doing if you want to become a better musician, and especially you saxophone players out there, and this is stop changing your gear all the time to chase a certain sound. I know it's cool sometimes to try new gear and, oh, look at this mouthpiece, and oh, I tried these new reeds, and I tried this ligature, and ooh, look at this heavy mass screw, and ooh, let me try this new saxophone. I like that. All you're doing is really confusing yourself and the way you play. One of the best things you can do as a musician is find a setup that's comfortable for you. And when I mean setup, I mean the literal equipment you're playing. So if you're a saxophone player, your mouthpiece, your instrument, the reeds, all this stuff, find a setup that is comfortable for you and then work on shaping the sound to what you want to sound like, what you hear in your head. Just because you buy the same mouthpiece that Michael Brecker used, or you have the same saxophone that Chad Lefkowitz Brown has, does not mean you're going to sound like them. In fact, you're not going to sound like them. Sure, certain instruments and certain setups are going to get you closer to a certain sound than others, but if you're constantly changing that setup, you never give yourself the time to get used to it and then make that instrument an extension of yourself to create the actual sound that you have inside of you. The fourth thing that people need to stop doing is a pretty interesting one, and that is stop only listening to musicians on your own instrument. When I ask students who their favorite musicians are, I specifically say musicians, and I don't say, who's your favorite trumpet player? Who's your favorite saxophone player? Because I'm curious to hear what they're gonna say. And most often they say instrumentalists or just musicians on their own instrument. There's nothing wrong with that. But then I always follow it up with, okay, now tell me some musicians that you like that are not on your instrument. And a lot of times they have a hard time with that. I'm a big believer in listening to all different kinds of musicians. So if you're a saxophone player, you should be listening to piano players and vocalists and trumpet players and trombone, all the instruments, right? If you're a vocalist, you should be listening to instrumentalists as well as vocalists. We can learn a lot from other musicians, especially the greats of our music, on every instrument, and we could definitely learn things from what they've played, even if it's not our instrument. The other thing that's really great about listening, and especially actively listening and transcribing musicians not on your main instrument, is that you can learn some lines and learn some ideas that aren't typically played on your instrument. There are certain things that lay really well on a saxophone that you're gonna hear Sonny Stitt play, or Charlie Parker, or Cannonball, or whatever. But there's also some things that lay well on trumpet, so I love listening to Clark Terry. So when I learn Clark Terry lines and put them on the saxophone, it's pretty interesting because the technical limitations of the trumpet are different than saxophone, so you get a completely different sound, different vibe, and I really, really enjoy doing that. The fifth and final thing you should really stop doing in order to become a better musician, and I have to say it, stop hating on other musicians. This goes along with the first one about comparing yourself to other musicians, but now it's just straight up hating. We all seen it on forums, we've all seen it in YouTube comments, Instagram comments, whatever. When you see someone else who is better than you or who just plays differently than you and you don't like it, that's okay. Maybe it works for them. Maybe they're doing something that they like and you just happen to not like it. That's okay. We don't all have to like the same foods or the same colors or the same cars. You get my point. Stop being a hater. Most people that I'm talking to right now probably aren't haters. You probably understand that people like different things, people sound different ways. But for those of you out there who see someone that's successful and you're like, no, why are they get to? Stop for a second and say, how is this helping me? Is me being angry about them having gigs gonna get me more gigs? Is me being angry about them having more record dates than me gonna get me recording sessions and it's gonna take them away from them? I think you know the answer to that. This is not to say you have to love what everybody does. I don't like the way some people play. I don't like certain foods. I don't like whatever. But I just say, oh, they're in their own lane. I'm in my own lane. I'm gonna do my own thing and I'm gonna keep striving for what I want. And if they wanna do something different, that's great. We all like different things. We all wanna sound differently. And I think that's a really great thing. So stop hating. All right, I hope you enjoyed my list of 5 things you should stop doing if you wanna be a better musician. Which one of these was your favorite? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if I missed any things, because I know there's more than 5 things we should stop doing as musicians, please let me know as well in the comments if there are some other ones. Be sure to grab the free masterclass below called The Best Way to Create Melodic Solos and start improvising better today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.